Awesome. There we go. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Milton. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you guys for being patient through a little break through the holidays. For me, I will say though, I really play from start. Here we go. I really missed doing Wednesday morning mindsets throughout the rest of the month of December and end of November. I really did miss it. So, however, my schedule is changing a little bit this year. So, moving forward this year, we are only going to do these on the first Wednesday of every month. Just no, I did not abandon you guys. So funny. I love it. I can't because I need the mindset help too, Milton. So I have to keep going too. But I just hate to cancel at the last minute when I have travel and stuff like that. So we're gonna do the first Wednesday, and I'm gonna just try to pack them full of value for you guys. And also, I just want you to know that it's 71 degrees in Charleston today, which is crazy because it's been so cold. But I'm dressed thick in this thick sweater that I bought that I've been waiting to wear until today that says Wednesday on it. And I've been like hell bent on wearing this on our first Wednesday morning mindset. And this morning, Adam said, "What are you doing in that thick sweater? It's like 70 degrees outside." I said, "I know, but it's the first Wednesday morning mindset. And I bought this sweater when I was in Texas with Linda, and I've been waiting like 3 months to wear it." So I'm sweating for you guys this morning also, just in case anybody wanted to know. Last day of 60s. Yes, Michelle, it's getting, I think it's getting ready to cool back down. Okay, you guys, so we might not get through everything I have today, but I'm going to try. So let's start with, I wanted to type for you guys to type in the chat. What's one thing that you're grateful for about a new year? So not necessarily just today, but what are you grateful for about a new year? And I had this conversation with my coach, Terry, and also with Linda McKissick last week, or no, earlier this week. What day was that? Yeah, Sunday or Monday. I can't remember. Normally the thing I'm most grateful about is like, I'm ready to pick a new word of the year, get my vision board ready, get my goals going. And at the end of the year, I kind of struggled with that this year. So I'm always grateful for a new, fresh start. However, I had to like let my mind, I think, calm down and rest for a couple of days, and then it got there. And yeah, okay, same that Fawn said. A fresh start, fresh perspective. Yep, new chances. Oh, Thomas is on. Yay. Our new brokerage. They just joined our Columbus office. So exciting. A reset. Resetting. Yep. Truly building a life worth living. Susan, that's a big one. Yeah. New word of the year, fresh start, clean slate. Love it. If you know your word of the year, if you picked one, put it in the chat. I would love to hear what your all's words of the year are. Focus. Good one. That's Katie. It's like, that's about, I think, the third focus I've heard, which is really good. Margin. Milton, that's a great one too. I haven't heard that yet. Yeah, love it. If you haven't, I used to kind of think that that was a little hokey, but there's a lot of power behind a word of the year for sure, especially if you bring it into where you can actually focus on it on a daily basis. No pun intended, Katie. So I'm a little late to the game with this. However, Heather fixed this for us. Susan, I love intentional. It's always a really good one. And so I do have the vision board is ready. And so if you are interested in doing your vision board, so this was mine from last year, and I did a little exercise where I kind of checked off last night all of the things that were accomplished. And then others I've changed my mind on, or others oh yes, thank you. Perfect. Okay. Heather put the link into the chat. If you are interested in doing a vision board, it's like 29 bucks, and it's not because we make money. It's because that's what it cost me to like pay have the website and run all this stuff and everything. So if you would like to do it, it's on Canva and it's fairly easy. And this is mine for this year, and I did it on the plane, and I finally had like 4 hours of uninterrupted anything. I didn't even get on Wi-Fi on my phone, so I couldn't text, and I was able to knock mine out. But if you go back, it is really cool to see a lot of the stuff that you accomplish. And some of them I was so close on. I did really eat clean a lot last year. I did not do it 80% of the time like my goal was, but I got close to it. I was very close on my tithing, very close. I did not hit it, but I was super close. So I'm still going to keep it for this year. But there were a couple of things that I carried over Heather, look here on the bottom. Did you see? So I have a lot of things that I wanted to carry over from last year and then things that I did accomplish. And then you guys, Frankie's going to be 15 this year. So I've got him on here because he's got to be healthy, which Adam said this morning, that is the most ornery dog I've ever seen in my entire life. So if any dog's going to live to be 20, it's definitely going to be Frankie. Milton, really good question. And Michelle, if I missed a goal, did I move it to next year? So some of them, yes, I did. So like my tithing goal, I did miss and I kept it on this year. And it's really important to me. I did not buy a car for Kentucky last year. And so I moved that to this year because it's really important that I do that so that I can have some of my time back and instead of driving as often, maybe I can fly some. Right now I don't have a car there, so I have to drive. So there were certain things, yes, that I did move over. There were other things that I didn't move over because after reflecting on me not doing them for a year, I remember what Linda McKissick taught me, which is that sometimes if you're procrastinating or delaying something so much, then it might not be as important to you as you think that it is. And so there were some that I didn't move over because after a year and I didn't accomplish them and I kind of reflected on it, they weren't as important to me anymore. So I would say you really need to work through, is it important? How important is it that you accomplish it? And is it still something that, you think is going to be, make a big difference, make a big impact in your life? And like, I did not do we really with some of our best friends, Josh and Heath, we really, really wanted to do a Europe trip last year. And we've been saying it for like 4 years and we didn't do it last year. So I did keep it because we've talked about it forever and it's important for us to do. But then there were other things that I took off. So hopefully that helps. I think you just have to reevaluate. And then you may add some things. Some of you may notice at the last minute, the last week of December, I did add the hot tub to the backyard. That was one that was like a 2-year goal. So it got carried over because it was important to add them. So you just have to think about that, but click on the link if you would like to make yours. Honestly, it's very easy. Like even the kids do this. So and theirs doesn't have to be as pretty, but they do it too. But if you can drag and drop on Canva, you can 100% make yours too. So I wanted to get through several lessons and I shared these on Instagram, but I know not everybody's on Instagram, and I also wanted to go a little bit deeper on them. So John Maxwell taught me one of the most important lessons that I just love so much every year. And every year when we go to his exchange event in November, he pulls up on the TVs, his phone, and he shares pictures that were on his camera or on his phone from the last year that that were special to him or that like stuck out something in his heart that made him remember them and like a lesson that he learned from them. And I was so upset that he did not do that this year for the first time in 6 years at our exchange event. And like every day at the end of the day, I was like, oh my gosh, tomorrow, there's only 2 more days left for him to do the picture. And then on the last day, we were like, you are kidding. So I have to have a really strong feeling about something before I leave negative feedback. But I did leave negative feedback because I was like, no, where are John's pictures? So that was a little bit of a bummer. However, I'm reading this book and oh man, you kind of can't see it. I'll have to post it in the group, but it's called, I don't even know how to say it. Habitudes. It's like Habit and Attitudes by Tim Elmore. And it's a thin little paper book and it's images that form leadership habits and attitudes. And I just started it, but there's different images like an iceberg and a classroom and a keyboard. There's all sorts of different images and there's lessons around them. And in the book, it says this, why do we use pictures or images? And the reason is because images stick. We remember pictures long after words have left us. When we hear a speech, we often remember the stories from that speech more than the phrases used by the speaker because they painted a picture inside of us. Pictures are what we file away in our minds. They enable us to store a huge volume of information. And then this part was new to me, and I think this is so interesting. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Heather. You found it. That was really quick. Okay, Heather put the link to the book too. Some sociologists describe this generation as epic. experiential, participatory, image rich, and connected. And so if that's true, then we will get the most out of the resources that furnish us with images, which spark a conversation so that we can participate and connect, and that lead us to have an experience. And I was like, man, that's so good. That's so true. So I, on the plane, on a flight recently, again, another 4-hour flight. And so I was like, I'm not going to get on the internet. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to go through my entire camera roll from 2022, and I'm going to heart my favorite ones, or the ones that taught me a lesson. And I ended up with 459. So I had a big image year last year. But so many of them were so special to me. So don't worry, I don't have 459 on here. I do have 17, and we might not get through all of them, but I wanted to share this with you because, one, it may spark something for you. Two, I really hope that it sparks you guys to take an hour this week and go back and do this exercise. I even saw Pastor Chris Hodges, who I follow from Birmingham, Alabama, posted that his favorite end of the year exercise is going back through his camera roll and picking out his pictures and all that stuff. So lesson number 1 I had was, when you don't slow down and take care of yourself, sometimes God will do it for you. And I started January in 2022 with COVID. I went like 2 years and dodged it every time. And I was pumped, like so excited to start the year. I had all these plans. I was ready to do all this stuff. I was getting ready to travel back to the region. And it literally hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was out for 2 weeks, like done. Some of you may remember that. I literally thought I was like, I never get sick like this. This is the worst feeling ever. So I had a lot of time to do some reflecting. And honestly, it kind of taught me that we do need to take time for ourselves. And we really need to, sometimes we have to slow ourselves down. And for some of you, if you're like me, that's very hard. Oh gosh. Yep. See, someone else finished with with COVID. I'm so sorry. I hope that you are feeling better, because it really was terrible. But honestly, after I'm not going to lie, I was very mad during the time. And by day 7, I was like, okay, this is for the birds. Like, I have got to feel better. I don't do good to sit and idle a lot. But it taught me a lot about reflection. This one was funny, but I had to put it in because this is one of my favorite pictures and lessons of the year last year. This is my nephew Graham, and we were at his house one day. Or actually, no, I don't even think I was there. I think it was just Caitlin and Chris. And we had blue cupcakes from something, and they were gone. And Chris was like, Graham, did you eat the blue cupcakes? And he's like, no. And Chris or Caitlin, I don't remember who it was. I don't even know if Caitlin's on. She'll remember better than me, but. And they were like, did you give Whiskers the dog a cupcake? And Graham's like, no. And they were like, what? And we turned around, and Graham's face was blue. And look, the dog's mouth was blue. How hilarious is that? So this was one of my favorite ones. I had to add it. But the lesson was, don't really fib, because you always get busted when you do every single time, even if it's something as silly as this. But really, that's a big lesson. And it always comes out. But really, I just thought that was so cute that little Whiskers has blue on his mouth. Number 3 was, always make time to celebrate the people that you love and celebrate often. And when I looked back on some of the moments of celebrating, some of them were planned and some of them were not planned. But I think it's just like, Nancy won MCA of the year, and some of our friends, the McConnells, had a huge foundation, and we loved celebrating them. And as you can see, I live for a live auction, so I racked up for their charity that year or last year. But just being able to celebrate people. And I loved Tammy Hill, one of our agents, got the regional cultural award of the year. And so we all stayed extra time in Austin so that we could celebrate her walking across the stage. And we celebrated Tyler's birthday. Even though we had a mishap with the cake, we all came out singing with the cake, and he wasn't there. He was like off taking a video somewhere, and we had to redo the whole thing. But the lesson is just making time to celebrate the people that you care about. And hold on a second. I accidentally stopped sharing. Okay, there we go. And wait, can you guys see my screen now? Okay, sorry, I was trying to admit somebody and it stopped sharing. And celebrate often. And some of you may be really good at celebrating, and others of you may have to be more intentional about it. So I would just say the question I want you to think about around this one is, do you naturally lean towards celebrating, or do you have to actually be intentional when you want to celebrate something? And what does that look like for you? Number 4 is dream big. And this lesson really is just like never give up on your dreams. And it goes back to the vision board. And I love when you can see them checking, like you can check them off, and then you still probably have a ton more to achieve. And if you're like me, I have a ton to achieve still. But I think no matter what it is, some of these images just really, like, I put that one on there because one day I'm going to have a plane. It's gonna have to be big because I don't like the small ones, but I'm gonna that is a goal. And I don't know if some of you may have seen this, but for Christmas, or no, for my birthday, Linda McKissick sent me this like this box of all these fun, really great things. One of them is this like amazing vanity that you put your makeup on in front of, and it's like the best lighting ever, and I love it. But in the pack, she sent this little thing. It's probably like I don't know, from a thrift store or something, but it's a little plastic private plane, like the size of a $50. And she wrote on the top, for you to look at this until you get yours one day. And I just thought, like, for number one, that's so good. Like, I love having someone to push you like that. But no matter how big your dream is, and the other lesson I had around this one is like, don't let other people poo poo on your dreams, or don't compare your dreams to other people's dreams. Like, whatever yours are, if you have it and it's in your heart, then just put it down, share it with somebody that you care about that can help hold you accountable to it, have it somewhere in front of you all the time, and really do it. And I mean, I had a huge goal of having a one-on-one with Gary. And honestly, that's been something I've wanted to do for 9 years. And so sometimes you may even, it goes back to Milton's question about, do you take it off? Sometimes you may even forget about them, but if it's something really important to you, then I would say still keep it on. Lesson number 5 is never forget the people who take care of you, show up for you, and always have your back, and always do the same for them. And there were so many pictures I could have put on for this one. Heather, did you laugh when you saw this? This was one day that literally sometimes I forget. I know I like to eat, so this will shock some of you, but I'm terrible about bringing my lunch. And so I'll go till like 3 o'clock and not eat lunch. And we were having a meeting in Richmond, and Heather was like, I brought you a pack of tuna and some pickles and crackers and cheese today. And I was like, thank you. And literally I saved that picture from that day because I was like, man, like that's a good friend, somebody who will bring you something that you like when they know that you sometimes don't eat during the day. Caitlin, my sister-in-law, and I recently opened a design and gift store in Charleston. It's something we wanted to do forever. I have that on here too. And our some of our best friends, Josh and Heath, they were in Kentucky, and they weren't going to be able to come to our grand opening, or they told us that they weren't going to be able to come to our grand opening. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little bummed. I was like, gosh, like that kind of stinks. I would go to theirs, I was like, dang it. I think I have been to theirs a couple of times, but I was like, they're busy. It's totally fine. And so it was crazy day, and we had food trucks and live music and everything, or food outside and live music and everything. And I saw the door open and they walked through the front door, and I was like, Caitlin and I were like, what? We were so shocked. Like we had no idea that they were coming, but it meant the world. They drove through the night. They didn't finish until like 10 p.m. the night before, and they drove 8 hours through the night and got here at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So that they could be there for that day. And so there was, and Nancy, these amazing flowers, Heather and I sent to Nancy because she had her 5-year anniversary with us. And then that's my coach, Terry. But there was just so many things I thought, like, it feels so good to have people in your life like that. And it makes me want to show up more for those people. And so I just want you guys to think about that too. Lesson number 6 is a quick one. Just find your people, but then grow together. One of my favorite things to do is to go and learn and grow and do something together. We had the opportunity to do that multiple times last year, and I love it every single time. I feel like it makes you closer as a group. You aren't coming back trying to tell your people stuff that they didn't hear, or your teammates or something like that, and then trying to get their buy-in. The more that you can learn and grow and do stuff together, the more it just bonds you as a team. And I just think when you do those things also, it just gives you such a sense of, I don't know what the word is, like, this isn't a word, but I'm going to make it up. Like bought in this together, like you're bought in together better when you do things together. Number 7, this is the store that Caitlin and I opened. This was the day that we signed the lease on the space. But the lesson around this one is take risks and never be afraid to start something new, because truly, whether you succeed or whether you fail, how will you really know if you don't try? And the other thing around this lesson too is, when you have really great people around you, it allows you to be able to do multiple things and have multiple opportunities. And honestly, that's what entrepreneurs do. When you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you just take risks and you surround yourself with really great people and then you figure it out along the way. And a lot of times, and I've been like this before, not so much in the last recent years, but a lot of times you'll have people that are like, get ready to get ready to get ready to get ready. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but sometimes you just have to go for it. It like there becomes a point where you have to just figure it out along the way. And you have good days and you have bad days, but you just have to keep going and you have to keep figuring it out. But if you never take the risk, this reminds me, many of you have heard us teach about the 4 C's. If you don't go take the big commitment first, like make the big commitment first, you're never gonna be ready. We think we have to have the courage and the capabilities and the credentials to before we make the commitment. But what most successful people and what entrepreneurs do is they make the commitment first so big that it makes them want to pee their pants. And then along the way, they figure out that then they have the courage, then they get the credentials, then they get the capabilities. Lesson number 8 is, and this is a really important one, and some of you may still be working on this, but find your unique ability and then spend as much time there as possible, because that is what's going to give you the most energy throughout your year. And there's a lot of different ways that you can work on finding your unique ability. There's an exercise through strategic coaching through Dan Sullivan. We have the worksheet. If you want to email me, we can send it to you. It's just danagentry@kw.com, but it's a unique ability worksheet. Some of you have done it. Or I've done it, we've done it together in different things, but the gist of it is you list all the things, like as many as you can. I think there's 40 on the sheet that you do in a day or in a week in your role, in whatever it is that is your role right now in your life for your business, excuse me. And then you look at that list and then you move things over into different categories based on, are you doing it, but you are terrible at it, it causes you anxiety and frustration, or are you like you don't really enjoy it, and sometimes it gives you anxiety and frustration, or is it something that other people would say you're the best at and there's nobody better than you, but it doesn't give you any energy? Or is it in your unique ability, which is you're really, really good at it, people would say you're great at it, and it gives you energy. Like when you do it, it gives you energy. So that's just a quick little, there's a lot more to it, but that's just a quick little explanation of it. But for me, it was really, I love the speaking. Like I love sharing and speaking and teaching and being able to pour into other people, especially when I get to do it with people that I like to be around and that I get to learn things from as well. And so I want to be more intentional about getting to do this more, especially for our offices. And then as my schedule allows for other offices and regions and stuff too this year. But the lesson is truly just figure out what gives you the most energy. And then you need to know how much time are you spending doing it right now? And then what is the goal? I mean, Dan Sullivan would say that the goal is to get to 50% of your time minimum in your unique ability. And obviously the ultimate goal would be to 100, but I don't necessarily really know anybody that's to 100. But just finding your unique ability. Lesson number 9, some of these were funny. This was more for us, but don't be so serious. And for some of us, that's hard too, but like let loose, have fun, be silly. Because honestly, sometimes when we were having silly moments or we were just letting loose, having fun, it was the best memories that I have of the year. I mean, we Josh and Adam and Heath and I went to a Miranda Lambert Little Big Town, I think it was, concert in Charleston. And when I tell you it dumped rain from the moment that we woke up until the moment that we got home that night, I mean, it dumped rain. I think there was like a 10-minute period where it didn't rain, but we had the most fun of any concert probably that I've been to in a really long time. So just make time to have fun. Lesson number 10, never think you are above others, places, or jobs. Heather will laugh at one of these. So I want to start with the top picture. This was at John Maxwell Exchange this year. And we met this lady. Well, we got to hear from both of these people. The one next to Adam was an admiral, and he had an amazing story. The lady standing next to me is Gretchen Evans, and her story, oh my gosh, you can YouTube her, but her story is absolutely like incredible. She's completely deaf now, and you would never know it. She reads, she's a master at lip reading. And so she reads people's lips. And so she doesn't like she doesn't sound deaf when she talks. I mean, she talks just like you or I would talk. She's just an incredible person. But anyway, she was not leading a troop. She was like the second in command in leading a troop in Iraq. And the leader got attacked and the leader got killed. And so while they were on mission, and so the enemy was coming in like hot and heavy, and their only option was to climb up to the very top of this mountain. And so she was leading her troop, which really she wasn't even supposed to be leading, but because she was second in command and the first command got killed, she had to take over immediately in the middle of the mission. So she was leading them up to the top of the mountain. And there were so many crazy stories, but anyway, long story short, they hit I don't know what it's called, but like a bomb went off. They stepped on something and a bomb went off when they were climbing up the mountain, and it slung her body up against a rock. I can't remember at the speed, but it was like insane. And she immediately went deaf, and she never got her hearing back. And so the rest of her troops had to help take them to the top of the mountain. And anyway, then the enemies were going up to the top of the mountain. And at the very last minute, I mean, they thought they were going to be dead. They were at the top. It was crazy that they made it there, but then they had nowhere else to go. And then they saw the Apache helicopter come in, and they saved him, and they all got saved. But she told this crazy story about how she just never thought that she was like too good to do anything or above anything. And I was like, you know what? I feel like you meet people sometimes and they think that they're better than other people. And really, that's a big trigger for me. Like we all kind of have triggers, and that's one of mine, because the reality is that none of us should ever be too good to do anything or go anywhere or be around any people. We're all humans. And I think we have to be very careful about getting our mindsets in a place where we can think the better than language. And not that, sometimes you might feel like a little out of whack. Like I'll never forget when last year, I don't even have any of this in my pictures, but I should have, when I took Amelia, my stepdaughter, and George, her best friend, to Kentucky for a week. Some of you may remember the pictures of that, but they did all things Kentucky. I took them horseback riding, and I made them work at the office, and I got their hair done and their eyebrows waxed, and we did like all these fun things all week long in Kentucky. And on the way home, I had this bright idea of taking them to Pigeon Forge, because they'd never been before, and they didn't even know what Pigeon Forge or Gatlinburg was. And I mean, I grew up going there, so I was like, this is going to be fun. We're going to go there. And they were kind of whispering when we were walking down through Pigeon Forge, and I was like, what are you guys whispering about? And George was like, well, it just looks like a lot of suspect people around here. I'm like, what does suspect mean, first of all? And George is like, well, they just look kind of different than us, And I'm like, yeah, because you're used to freaking Charleston, South Carolina. And so I told Adam, I'm like, we've got to get the kids more cultured. Like we're going more places, but it was funny because it was a good lesson, and we had a good conversation of, you're not always going to be around people that are just like you, but you never can think that you're better than doing anything. We'll have to finish the rest later, but I'll end with this one. Lesson number 11 was experiences over things every time. And listen, don't get me wrong. I like nice things. I'm definitely a consumer. I like to consume. However, experiences are everything. And Adam and the kids are huge tennis fanatics. Adam played college tennis, and the kids are crazy tennis players. And I don't even think I'd ever picked up a tennis racket in my life. So I wasn't really into tennis. I go and do it because they enjoy it. But this year for the kids' birthday, we gave them tickets to the US Open. And so we went to New York, and it was probably like top 3 experiences for me for the year. It was so great. They had the best time. We had the best time. It was just, everything about it was so, so, so fun. And so it led me to, on my vision board for this year, and Adam has this too, we want to have 4 really great experiences with the kids, and just something different than we've never done before. And so I really want to challenge you guys to think about how often are you actually doing experiences, and are you being intentional about them? Because a lot of times I think we have the intention of doing great experiences and experiencing things, but the reality is that we aren't intentional about making the time, and we get caught up in every single thing else. Oh, Steph, that's a great one. Yeah, Kentucky Derby. They'll really see a lot of suspect people there at the Kentucky Derby, especially if we're in the field. Um, but yeah, so I just want you guys to think about experiences. And some of you may be great at this. Honestly, like I learned this so much from Linda McKissick because she gives an experience to every one of her kids and grandkids for their birthday every year. That's her gift. And I just think it's so, that's true. They might say a lot of famous people. I just think that that's such a good thing to do and to think about because they'll remember this forever and they'll forget the Xbox, by summertime. Honestly, they're over it. And even as adults, it's the same thing. I feel like Teresa, Kenny, I just saw that you're on. I feel like you're really great at this too. Like you guys do such great experiences together and you go places and like you make memories together.
Yeah, I'm huge on experiences. In
Have
fact,
you always been like that or did you learn that?
I've always been like that. That's just my wheelhouse. I
Yeah.
like experiencing, I think because I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere land, Canada.
Yeah.
So as soon as I discovered there was a whole world out there, I was like, I'm going for it.
I love it. I love it. It's so fun. It's so fun. Okay, sorry guys. I know that we're past our time, so I'll have to finish 12 through 17 next time. But I hope that you guys got something out of that instead of just looking at all the pictures, but really that you can see the lessons behind them. But I really want to encourage you, take the time this week if you haven't done this exercise and just take an hour and go back, like turn on some music and block out the distractions and go through all of your go through your pictures from last year and just pick out some, like put them in an album or favorite them, and then go back and see. And also, you know what? Here's another lesson, and this I'll end on this is for those of you that maybe aren't great at picture taking, you might need to be more intentional about that because I like feel sad for people who don't take any pictures because how do you go back and remember stuff? And actually people text me all the time and say, do you have a picture of when we were blah, 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 blah? I know that you'll have it. And I'm like, yes, I probably do because I have 60,000 in my phone right now. And I tend to go a little overboard, but, it's just, I don't know. I think the memories are so good and you'll always remember it. Actually 71,319 to be exact. So I probably need to delete a little. But this is also from like probably 15 years because I never delete anything on my phone. I just go buy the phone that has the bigger storage each time so that I don't have to delete because when they go to the cloud, it makes me extremely nervous that I won't get them back. So, all right, you guys, sorry we're over. I hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks for being on. Thank you.
Thank
Work on
you.
your mindset. Thanks. Bye, Josh. Bye, Josh Fisher. Thank you, guys.